You're looking for a printer that won't make you second-guess every job you send to it, that slips into the office routine without demanding a PhD to keep it running, and that actually earns the price tag you're paying. I get it, there are a ton of laser options that promise enterprise-grade speed and rock-solid security, but most of the time you end up with a machine that's either over-engineered for a small team or under-delivered for a busy department. That hesitation is real, especially when you've probably seen a half-finished printout jam your workflow or a network breach because a printer wasn't properly locked down. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The HP Color LaserJet Enterprise Flow M682z is marketed as an all-in-one solution for mid-size to large offices that need color, duplex, and a built-in finish line. The first thing I did when researching it was to dig through a mix of tech forums, HP's own documentation, and a handful of buyer ratings that are out there. The overall rating hovers around 3.8 out of 5, which tells you the device isn't a flawless champion, but it also isn't a flop. That middle ground is where the real story lies: what works, what feels like a compromise, and who will actually benefit from the trade-offs. Let's start with the setup. The Flow series arrives in a fairly hefty box, and you'll notice the pull-out keyboard right away. That keyboard is a practical touch for offices that want to manage print queues locally without pulling up a laptop every time someone needs to change a setting. The 3-bin stapler/stacker sits on the front, so finished jobs can be sorted, stapled, and collected without an extra step. In practice, this means a marketing team that prints out client proposals can run a batch, have each document stapled automatically, and pull the stack out in under a minute. If you've ever spent 10 minutes manually stapling a stack of color flyers, you'll appreciate that little time saver. On the security front, HP claims world's most secure printing. What does that translate to day-to-day? The printer supports secure boot, self-encrypting drives, and built-in firewall rules that stop rogue traffic from using the device as a backdoor into your network. For IT departments that have to comply with GDPR or HIPAA, those features aren't just marketing fluff, they're a checklist item that can keep an audit from turning into a nightmare. I've seen similar setups where the printer's secure credential store prevented a disgruntled employee from pulling confidential reports after they left the company. Speed is another headline. The M682z can push out up to 45 pages per minute in color, and that's not just a theoretical number. In a real office where you might be printing a 30-page presentation with full-color graphics, the printer will finish that job while you're still opening the first slide. The Duplex capability works automatically, so you don't have to manually flip paper for double-sided reports. Energy efficiency mode cuts power draw during off-peak hours, which helps keep the electricity bill from ballooning, a subtle but welcome benefit when you have a fleet of machines running 24/7. Now, the practical weaknesses. First, the device is definitely not cheap, and the total cost of ownership includes consumables that are on the higher side for color laser toner. If your office only prints occasional color charts and mostly black and white text, you'll be paying for capacity you never use. Second, while the pull-out keyboard is handy, it can be a bit finicky if you have a lot of users with different access levels. You'll need to spend some time in the admin console setting up role-based permissions. Otherwise, you'll see people inadvertently changing default settings and causing minor hiccups. Third, the 3-bin stacker is great for stapled jobs, but if you need a high-volume collating solution, say 500-page manuals, you'll quickly outgrow the built-in output capacity and will have to rely on an external finisher. That's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to consider before you commit. Who should buy this printer? If you run a design department, a marketing agency, or a corporate communications team where color, double-sided output, and fast turnaround are part of the daily rhythm, the Flow M682z lines up nicely with those needs. The Secure Printing Suite also makes it a solid pick for any organization that handles sensitive data, legal firms, healthcare providers, or any business under strict compliance regimes. The built-in keyboard and finishers keep the workflow tight, which means less time spent walking back and forth to a separate stapler or finisher. Who should skip it? Small businesses with a handful of users who only print occasional color documents will likely find the price and consumable costs unjustified. If your office already has a dedicated finishing line or you rely heavily on digital signatures and rarely need hard copies, the extra hardware adds complexity without adding real value. Also, If you're a tech-savvy team that prefers to manage everything from a cloud console and doesn't need a local keypad, the built-in keyboard becomes an unnecessary feature rather than a benefit. The real